my friend, for being here.
Chris, the wine guy. How are you?
I am. I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for having me. I'm always happy to be here, and I'm thirsty.
Oh yeah, it's a good day to be thirsty.
You better be thirsty, because yeah. Okay, here we go.
Because we've got some stuff to drink.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bubbles Day.
Kind of, yeah. Bubbles and rosé, right?
Yeah, bubbles and rosé. It's springtime, and it's a perfect time for those bright, just delicious wines. Brunches and garden parties, and we're heading into wedding season. But it'll be an interesting wedding season because who knows right now.
Yep. Oh, that's interesting.
What?
Gonna just hide that video real quick. We're trying out something a little bit different, and yeah, interesting. Okay.
We're just getting all of our settings going.
Yeah, it didn't change those descriptions. Wow. Okay. Well, so it works, but it didn't change any descriptions. But that's okay. I'll go back and fix them.
Okay.
All right. Hey, we got comments though.
Hi, Kelsey.
Look at
Hello,
that,
Kelsey.
Kelsey. All right. Are we going to get this thing started up, right?
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Pardon my fork.
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 Pardon my fork from Japan.
Pardon my fork.
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 Whether you're a home cook, a chef, a restaurateur, or just like to eat, we've got something for everyone. So grab a plate and get an extra helping. Food for thought and knowledge for life on Pardon My Fork.
Yes, we are doing it again. How are you doing, hun?
I'm good. I'm excited about today.
Corian's here with me. This is, of course, Andy. Wine guy Chris, how are you doing, my friend?
Fabulous, sir.
Did we all just pour ourselves some of this Evolution sparkling, by the way?
Yeah, I think that's where we all kind of decided where we're beginning with by consensus.
It doesn't surprise me. This is a beautiful wine. By the way, we are doing budget bubbles, kind of. Chris has got a rosé that he's going to talk about as well. But we're doing wines on a budget today, you guys.
Yeah, this is a small batch edition of Pardon My Fork.
That's right.
And, when we were talking about the wines that we were going to do and what we wanted to focus on, we had a list that we were going to get from Chris. And, the whole supply chain of everything in the world is a little chaotic, discombobulated. There was a snafu and foobar. And so we just said, well, let's see what we can get for under $20.
Oh, and well under $20.
Yeah.
We're actually under 15 for these.
Yeah, most of them are under 15.
And actually, I'm glad that you said under, well, we were talking about like under 12 or under 15, Chris, but we put that line at 15, and I'm really glad we did, because this Evolution sparkling wine by Sokol Blosser was $15.
It was,
and it's a real buy. But I just want to, before we get in too far into it, I want to let everybody know that these are wines that we got from Fred Meyer's here local to us. I have no doubt that you could find these wines in Safeway, Fred Meyer's, Albertsons, your market of choice, Whole Foods, maybe even like a Trader Joe's. You probably could even find these cans in like a discount store, like a grocery outlet.
Yeah, we're also doing an Underwood wine in a can. It's we have the rosé bubbles, and Chris has the plain rosé. They have a wide variety of wines, and we have found some really great canned wines. So that's a whole new area that's getting expanded in the wine industry. And this was $6. So it's enough to get you crunched. Let's just say that.
Chris, how was it for you going through and seeing some of the wines that were specifically under that budget level?
Yeah, I there's some real drastic quality tiers of what kind of wine you can get into at those prices, right? I think we were emailing back and forth or texting back and forth a little bit. $12 to $15, kind of one category there. Under 12, and you're talking about a whole different world. And you get 15 to 20, and you start getting up there into a different world that way as well. To put the rosé in perspective, or I have the still rosé. You all have the sparkling. At $6 a can, that is roughly a half bottle.
Mhm.
And so you're looking at, and I think it was 650 or something like that, right? So we're right around 15 for both of these bottles. I think the Evolution was just a skosh over 15,
Mhm.
which for this wine's a steal.
It is.
At the winery, it's MSRP if it was a car, right? Is that's for you, Andy? Is about 20, and I have never had either of these wines before, and so I'm really excited to get into them.
Okay, so let's all just jump right in.
It's a very this Evolution Sparkling is a little bit tart.
Citrusy.
Yeah, Corianne said Asian pear. There is an earthy quality to it. You mentioned hay. I'm not 100% on the hay, but there is something that's kind of a
Earthy vegetal.
yeah, earthy vegetal. I always say it smells a little bit like a tire shop, and I know that that's not a good descriptor, but it's what it reminds my palate of. It's got to be something else though.
I think that's exactly what it is. Tire shop, rubber, petrol, anything along those lines. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's got the petroleum. It's got a little bit of that petroleum smell to it.
I think that allows this wine to stand up to some big foods.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty exciting. I love Sokol Blaser wines. We went wine tasting there when we were dating 17 years ago, 18 years. Yeah. So
to the old tasting room, not the new
old.
one.
Yeah. 2003, 2004, before they did the remodel.
I mean this in the best way, but their remodel kind of looks like a Soviet era nuclear bunker.
I don't agree with you, but there you go. Its style is so subjective, but they've always had a secret place in my heart because it reminds me of when we were dating.
Aw.
And but Evolution, they make a white and a red, and then this is their sparkling white. I just have to read this. Reasons to celebrate. The sun came up. The sun went down. Great hair day. Great day for a hat. Alarm worked. You were on time. Alarm failed. Caught up on sleep. Puppies, kittens, etc. I was like, yep. So, they say to drink Evolution Sparkling with nuggets, cordon bleu, tacos, cedar plank salmon, nachos, brie, etc. I'm like, yeah. This is just if I was a wine in a bottle, that'd be it.
And it's the truth, Chris, isn't it? This wine, because of the flavor combinations here, I think that a cheese and a fruit platter would not be bad. I think a
flank steak,
even a spicy meat like a capicola or something.
Smoked chicken.
Yeah, so bubbles in general are one of the most forgiving pairings. Bubbles go with just about anything. I always have at least one bottle of chilled bubbles here at home, and I open them not nearly enough. And we really all should be drinking more bubbles. I fully believe in everything that is said on the back of the bottle here. And going into some of those tasting descriptors that you guys were talking about. This is kind of that was kind of the kitchen sink of descriptors, right? We've got I think I heard some grapefruit in there. If I didn't, I'm going to throw that in. We heard a lot of pear, a lot of apple, a lot of orchard fruits there. We heard some hay, some funky stuff, some rubber, right? And so I was trying to do a little research on this wine, and I couldn't find an exact statement from the producer of what varietals are used in this. But I'd have to assume that it's similar to their Evolution White. And from some third-party websites, I was able to find some information about the varietals. And we've got, likely, not 100%, but likely, we've got Simeon, which is a white wine from Bordeaux. Müller-Thurgau, which is a Riesling hybrid originally from Germany, but they've grown it a lot in the Northwest here. Riesling, Pinot Gris, Gewürztraminer, which Gewürztraminer is a very floral. I think we're getting some of those heady floral aromas in there. That Riesling is where that petrol is likely coming from. Muscat Canelli, so a lot of those kind of like succulent, sweet kind of things coming from it, and Chardonnay. You got to have Chardonnay in the bubbles. You don't have to, but it's kind of the traditional powerhouse for your Blanc de Blanc. So.
Right.
So essentially, the winemaker said all of these in the barrel.
Well, it could
Yeah.
be. Could be.
Yeah.
Could be, and
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it out there. That's kind of their Sokol Blossers thing with Evolution. Both of them are blends, the white and the red,
And they're delicious.
and they've got a lot going on there. This performs very well at 15.
Mhm.
Lot to think about on the nose. I think
Mhm.
some people will be turned off by some of those funky aromas. I, like you guys, really enjoy it, and I think that's going to make it really versatile with food. The bead, the bubbles, the size of the bubbles, on the medium to larger side. So it's something that, doesn't have that like piercing refinement that Chardonnay is going to have, or that Champagne's going to have, but you don't always need that, right? You have wines you want to think about. You have wines you want to party with.
I want to party with this. As soon as I tasted this, I was like, oh, smoked chicken. Like 100%. It would totally stand up to the char for the chicken. Anything that's even got a heavy sauce, this will cut through it. Yeah, the bubbles are bigger than like a nitrous brew beer, a beer on nitrous, where it's got those small bubbles where it's almost creamy in texture, but it's not as piercing as champagne. So it's in that middle of the road. I'd serve this with sushi. I'd serve this with apple pie. I'd serve this with a brunch, champagne style brunch. This would be a great wine to mix with for bellinis or mimosas. But it would also go great with a backyard barbecue for somebody that just, maybe a red wine gives them a headache, so they stay away from it. This would be a great pairing.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I think some of the sauces are going to be troublesome for this. This is a little brighter. It does have that acidic core, which is going to make it wonderful in many ways. All that chicken you were talking about, right? But you get into things that are heavily sauced, and you get into a lot of those sauces have a lot of sugar content in it. And I think that's going to be challenging. I think that sugar, when that really unctuous sugary sauce, I know on the bottle mentioned nuggets. I'd stay away from the sweet and sour sauce though, right? That sugar is going to make this taste pretty austere. It's going to make it taste tart and kind of, that funk's going to kind of dominate in not the greatest way.
That is a really good point, because right before the show, we gave it to somebody who had recently, like just right before eating a gummy bear, and he wasn't a big fan. And I was like, you killed your palate with that sugar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to say is, and this is actually because, Chris, you once introduced me to bubbles with barbecue, but I think that this would be a perfect barbecue pairing. Us, we're not huge sauce people for our barbecue, but I think someone who has done a heavy smoke on a brisket would really, really do well to match this with an unsauced and a well-prepared, salt and pepper brisket.
You could also do hot dogs and burgers too.
Well, hot dogs and burgers, sure,
as long as they're not dripping in Sweet Baby Ray's.
I'm thinking about like if you're a mesquite and hickory kind of a person on your beef, this would be able to stand up to that stronger flavor.
Yeah, and you wouldn't do a mesquite or hickory with a rabbit or a chicken. Those would be more apple and birch.
Sure, but with a rabbit or a chicken, you're going to want to, toast the outside. You want a little bit of that char with the smoke, right?
Yeah, you don't want it to be overpowering. By the way, never use mesquite when you're smoking a rabbit. You'll hate all your life's choices. Just throwing that out there. That's one of the next projects on our farm is getting rabbits going. And yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris? I know you're a barbecue man.
One of my great loves is bubbles and barbecue. I think that as long as you haven't over smoked it, if you've over smoked it, if you've really pumped up to the smoke to where that, outer crust is already tasting bitter like liquid smoke, you've lost. But you throw bubbles at anything coming off the grill, it's going to really enhance that. It's going to bring out the smoke. It's going to play really well with it. I think the Riesling, the Mueller Turgau, some of the other aromatic, the Gewürztraminer is going to make this play really well with a little bit of spice in there. I think those aromatic varietals, I know we spoke a little bit about, I think Corianne was talking about some Asian food earlier. And I mean, that's beautiful with it.
Mhm.
Very versatile wine. I mean, this is kind of a kitchen sink of grapes. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. We all caught it in the kitchen sink, but
Mhm.
it really works, and I'm happy with it.
Hey, speaking of, before we move on to the next one, speaking of Riesling and Gewürztraminer, those are really not terribly expensive wines I've found in the past. I mean, a Riesling, you can get some very reasonable budget Rieslings.
Reasonable Rieslings.
Yeah, reasonable Rieslings, which, that kind of sounds like instead of a wine and crime, it might be like a wine and law podcast. I'm just throwing that out there. But I know this is a bubbles on a budget kind of a thing, but I do want to talk about some of the other budget wines out there. One of my favorite wineries for budget wines tends to be Chateau Saint Michel, which is in the Columbia Valley or Columbia Gorge, I think. But they make some really great wines, and it's not difficult to find some of their good wines for less than $10. Even their late harvest Gewürztraminer, I think, comes in at $11-12 for 375 milliliter. And those are really great wines when you're just on a budget and looking for something fun and fruity.
When you first talked about the idea for this show, that's where I thought we were going. I thought we were going like budget wines. And there are some great wines that can be had for, around $10, 10 or less. You need to really be a little bit more discriminating as far as what you're picking up to get into something really great. But yeah, I mean, there are some wonderful wines there that can be found.
Mm-hmm.
I want to second that whole Riesling comment, because Riesling is just a darling of mine. And we don't have much Riesling in this house because we tend to go through it. Not even just on the budget spectrum, right? Some wines you can get, like Cabernet. You can find $10 bottle Cabernet. It's not going to taste anything like the $50 or $150 bottles of Cabernet, but you can get a $10 bottle of Cabernet. Riesling, though, you can get a $12 bottle of Riesling that's going to still be identifiable as Riesling and stand up with, not quite to the same extent, but stand up with some of the greatest Rieslings in the world. And those greatest Rieslings in the world, when we're looking at Cabernet, you're talking, 500 plus, dollars a bottle. You're looking at Riesling, I can get you into literally world-class Riesling for about $50.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, I mean, yeah, and not that that's the most expensive out there. Of course, there's more expensive, and there's much more expensive than $500 Cabernet. But you can get into some really world-class Riesling for about $50.
Now, where does Pinot Gris fall on that list? Because Corian's a big fan of Pinot Gris, and I know that we can definitely find some good budget Pinot Gris, but not all the time. I mean, it feels a little hit or miss to me.
Pinot Gris is not considered as highly regarded as Riesling in the world sphere.
Really?
Yeah. We grow it out here. They grow it in Alsace. They grow it in parts of Germany. They grow it in, other parts of kind of that part of the world. But continental Europe, right? But it's not heralded as highly as Riesling.
Oh, I see.
Pinot Gris would be, the I don't know, what would it be? The Petit Verdot to Riesling's Cabernet, right?
Oh.
It's great. It's in a lot of blends. It's around. Sometimes you'll see it on its own, but aside from geographic areas where they focus on it, in general, it's not as important to the player. Now, it's wonderful.
Can I share my most favorite Pinot Gris experience?
Right after
Oh,
we say
yeah.
hi, Stephanie. How
Hi,
you doing,
Stephanie. Hey, my girl. Hey.
No, Stephanie,
I don't know
cheers.
anyone knows Stephanie, but she used to be my little brother's teacher, and he has autism. And this girl is family. Love her.
Welcome, Stephanie, in the comments.
So when I was in Florida at Walt Disney World with my mother, we did a mother-daughter Disney World trip, and we ate in one of their fancy restaurants. I was, spoiling my mom, and they had a Willamette Valley Vineyards Pinot Gris on their menu, and I flipped my lid. I was like, dude, bring it. Get the bottle.
Mhm.
So they had to like go down into the cellar because it wasn't one of those normal wines. But he was like, yeah, we can get that. Sure. So I was super excited. So it is a big favorite of mine. And it was a taste of home when I'm in Florida fighting humidity with my curly hair. So it made me feel better. I was happy about that.
Nice.
But that's and every time I can get somebody at the Willamette Valley to sit down and listen, I'm like, let me tell you the story. And they're like, oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway,
hey, what else could we be looking at in this vein as far as something that comes across as a budget? I've never really seen a budget Mueller Turgau, but
well, I guess what would be termed a budget Mueller Turgau? Like where does that fall on the dollar menu, Chris?
Mueller Turgau is really not a widespread. It does not have widespread support in the wine world. It's grown here in Oregon.
Mhm.
It's grown in Germany, in Hungary, Alto Adige, so that northern part of Italy.
Mhm.
But it's not a major player in the wine world.
sure.
That being said, there's some lovely Mueller Turgaus. One that comes to mind that's local is Airlie.
Yeah,
They make a beautiful Mueller Turgau.
Yeah.
And you'll see it crop up places, but it's not one that you see often. I would highly recommend Airlie's.
I would too.
And I think there's plays. What does that play, Corianne? Around 15, I think, or
Yeah,
18?
15 to 20, depending on the
Yeah.
year. And when we go to any nonprofit events, especially in our area, Airlie is a really common wine that they donate to a lot. They have a really great philanthropic presence in our community, and I am always going to get their Mueller Turgau whenever we see them at an event. So they're a favorite of mine at auctions and various functions. So it's great stuff.
You know what? We're just going to have to separate that off then. Some of the less known, less appreciated wines, we're just going to have to do
We're going to have to do a
lineup
show
of
about
those.
that.
Yeah.
New idea.
All
right.
And you know what? Speaking of underappreciated wines, I think the cans might be underappreciated.
Yes.
And we're going to break that stigma tonight, aren't we, you guys?
Yes. So
We are.
wine in a can, wine in a box. We are doing Underwood, which is made here in Oregon by Union Wine Company.
And I know it's hard to see in the camera, but man, that is a gorgeous color.
It is so pretty pink. This is just, oh my gosh, Easter in a basket, strawberries on a biscuit. So good.
and I'm going to throw out that I have a different wine. I have the still version of the same wine that you have. I'm going to show this. Can you see the bubbles in here?
Is it
So-
effervescent slightly?
Yeah, so that's that dissolved CO2 that we've spoken about in the past, and the freshness, man. These cans preserve the freshness really well. I think that for these wines that are built to be able to just be enjoyed in their youth, really fresh, the can's a no-brainer, and I can't wait to see it proliferate and grow more.
There's the pinkies up, but this is pinkies down beer or wine. I mean, I get lots of strawberry. Lots of that strawberry cherry thing going on. If Barbie was a wine, this would be it.
The smell is not just particularly fruit forward to me. It's got a little bit of the same quality that this Brut Evolution Sparkling does.
I kind of get underripe strawberry, underripe raspberry. Like when you're out in your berry patch, you're like, is this ripe?
I'll tell you what, though, it has got this like buttery mouth quality.
It's so good.
I haven't quite figured out exactly what that is or what the flavor is that I'm getting, but it just kind of coats my palate in this really pleasant way. I'm very impressed with that.
Well, this one goes with everything.
I wish that I had my stuff more together and that I had gotten the same can as you, because my experience is a little different with this.
Oh, tell me. What are you getting, babe?
I wish I was drinking yours. It's not bad. It's absolutely not bad. But it's much more one-dimensional.
Okay.
And I was hearing you talk about some of that, and I was trying to think, and I'm like, has Andy lost his mind? No, I have a different wine.
There you go.
So, not that it's bad. This is the kind of wine that I think screams for sangria. It's fairly neutral. It's fairly one-dimensional. The color, I like the color for a rosé. But it's not. It doesn't have the depth of the evolution. Definitely in an absolute different category, at least for the still. The bubbles from Underwood, maybe a different story altogether.
And Underwood does like a Chardonnay and a rosé,
Mhm.
and then they do a sparkling white and a sparkling rosé. From what I found just at Fred Meyer's, and we were in and out. It was a quick trip. Andy's on crutches, so we aren't spending too much time running around the stores, and you don't want to be out in all the public anyway right now if you can
Mhm.
help it. So it
Mhm.
was good.
They do make a Pinot Gris as well.
Okay.
And
it
I'm
can-
pretty sure they make they make a red wine, although I'm not sure if it's in can. But
didn't see
I'm
it in the
almost
can.
positive that they make a red wine as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um,
This is kind of a fun wine because I remember discovering this. We were in Portland and there was a car event or race event
Yeah,
or
we were at
the historic
PIR.
races at PIR.
If we allegedly were at PIR, we wouldn't have had wine on the grounds because that's a public.
It was in the
park,
car.
you
It
know.
was in my car.
that doesn't make it better,
on the
Corinne.
park grounds.
Dang
Not on the
it.
park grounds.
No.
It was actually in Mexico.
Yeah, we were. It's just
Allegedly, we were in Mexico.
it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bail you guys out here, and so tell me about what you're tasting in this wine, because I have something different, and I want to know more about what's going on with the bubbles there. In fact, if you could you bring the glass a little closer? I want to see
Go
see
ahead
what
and
it's looking like.
So I'm getting a lot of strawberries, watermelon, a little bit of tart cherry. Again, that nice
Yeah,
mouthfeel. Yeah, yours is darker, Chris.
yeah.
For me, when I think food pairings with this, I think a fruit forward vinaigrette on a salad would go well with this.
Strawberry cheesecake.
I think this would do pretty well with pickles.
Oh yeah, everything goes good with
Mhm.
pickles.
I think pickled beets on an arugula salad would go really well with this wine.
Ooh, chicken salad sandwich with your grandma's relish.
Yep.
That would go well.
And cranberries.
Yeah, I think it's going to complement anything that's like a spring, like early summer kind of meal, like what's ripe at that time.
Yeah.
The bubbles really give it a lot of flexibility, though. Probably would still go good with sushi. Probably not something super spicy and saucy, but definitely would knock a California roll out of the park.
Yeah.
The Pinot Noir based bubbles tend to have a little bit more of a richness than a Blanc de Blanc does. So Blanc de Blanc, white from white, that's generally just Chardonnay. Pinot Noir based bubbles tend to have some of those red fruit characters with them. They tend to carry a little bit more weight. I know this isn't an apples to apples type game here because the evolution has all those other varietals in there that are contributing factors. But which one would you say carries more weight to it?
The evolution.
The evolution. Okay.
Like if I was going to pick between the two for the most bang for your buck, compare it with the most, can stand up to the most, I would go with the evolution. This is just fun and pretty. Like this is a girls' night. This is popcorn and romantic comedy.
This is a nice, cheap entry-level wine that I think a lot of people can appreciate without thinking about it too hard.
Great for a hot summer day.
Well, now that I know that they make that in can, I'm definitely going to be searching some out in the summertime. Allegedly, I've been known to kick off voyages on the kayaks down the Santiam with bubbles.
I didn't know they had a Santiam in Mexico. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And
that pure rosé when you get a chance.
Oh, what was that again?
Your pure rosé. We've talked a lot about all of the different things going on here, and I don't want to interrupt your story, but I am dying to know what's going on with your.
Flat pink wine.
Yeah,
not bubble pink wine.
just for whatever reason, it reminds me of a scene in a movie called Kiss of the Dragon where Jet Li orders water at a French bistro and or at a bar, excuse me, and the bartender says sparkling or flat, and then Jet Li just kind of looks at him like that's the dumbest question he's ever heard, and he's like flat. So tell us about your flat rosé, Chris.
So tidbit. Oftentimes in Europe, they will ask if you want the water with or without gas.
Oh,
Means something else.
That's what she said.
Oh gosh.
that's awesome.
So this wine, it's one of those one of those interesting experiences for me, because a lot of times I'll come up against something and it'll just be made in a style that I don't enjoy, and I'm able to say, oh, it's a great wine, but it's not for me. Or it'll be clearly flawed and I'll say, oh, this has this going on, there's something wrong with this. This is not in either of those categories. There's nothing wrong with this wine. It's just, especially after the evolution, it's just straightforward. There's not a lot to think about, and there's not a lot to do with it. There's maybe a tad more residual sugar in it than what I'd normally look for in a rosé, but not to the extent that it's a fatal flaw in my book, right? It's not your Beringer White Zinfandel. But it's straightforward. It's got little watermelon, it's got some strawberry stuff I like, just not a lot of depth. There's nothing that keeps me coming back to it. And I have to say, I've had a number of organ bubbles in the $10 to $15 range, and I haven't found one that I like yet. And so getting the Evolution for 15 the other day, I was like, we'll see how this goes. I think I even told that to Sarah. I said, I'm preparing myself. We'll see how this goes. And I freaking love this wine for what we paid for it. The Evolution is just where it's at. So it's difficult for me to be fair to this Underwood still rosé after the bubbles. I drink it. I think it'd be great at a barbecue as well, especially with some of that residual sugar. I actually think there's more sugar in the rosé than the Brut white from the Evolution. I mean the Brut, it's fairly dry. It's not bone dry, but the Evolution is fairly dry. I think there's just a kiss of sugar in here.
Would you consider? Sorry to interrupt. Would you consider the Evolution Sparkling like a medium dry?
I'd consider it Brut.
Just a Brut. Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of sparkling wine dryness, right? There's you have your sweet, your sec, right? Your very sweet wines. Then you have extra dry, which is actually slightly sweet. And then you have Brut, and then you have Brut Zero, or Brut Natural, which indicate no added sugar. This is on the sweeter side of Brut, but I certainly don't think that it's toward extra dry.
Okay, interesting. See, I always wonder how that falls, because sometimes, like you're saying, sometimes I have especially with the sparkling wine, I have something that really just makes me pucker up. I feel like I just had a big spoonful of tallow or something, but this is not that way. There's just a little bit of that sweetness on it. So yeah, I didn't know that you would consider it a Brut necessarily, but I guess it's still kind of to your palate falling into that vein.
They call it a Brut.
They do.
Oh.
Brut, hints of citrus, crisp finish, bubbles and bubbles.
I like to think that I know better than the winemakers, though.
Yes.
Well, and I'm sure there are some that would challenge that, right? That this is truly a Brut. It's very much kind of riding that line, but I think it does, for me at least, fall just barely into the Brut side. There is also a lot of acidity on this, which holds the flavors together, which keeps that sugar from feeling, flabby, from, getting out of hand. And I think the acidity makes it taste somewhat drier than maybe it actually is. So there
It's
could
the
be some truth
corset.
to what you're saying there, Andy.
The acidity
Mm.
is the corset for the flabby, out of hand sugars. Dying over here.
The corset, the acidity's the corset, yeah.
Of course, you had to say that right as you're taking a sip of water.
Man.
So I want to ask you guys your opinion, and anybody that's watching, leave your opinion in the comments. So tomorrow is Taco Tuesday. My plan is to get out a package of pork carnitas that we got from the butcher a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to grill those up over a flame. I want to do flame broiled carnitas in my tacos for tomorrow. What do we think? Is this going to be good, or do I need to
Yeah.
be looking for something else?
I think that'll be fine.
Ooh.
But will it last until tomorrow?
That's up to you, baby girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Sarah and I might be doing tacos as well. I've got some pulled pork that I've done carnita style, and we might be defrosting some of that and following suit. And I think this is going to be out of this world with it.
Mhm.
In fact, bubbles with tacos. Gosh, I mean,
How can you not?
there's really not a better pairing, especially something with a little bit of sweetness that's going to play well with some of that spice, right? Little bit of sweetness, some of those aromatics that this has. I think that knocks it out of the park, Andy.
It's Cinco de Mayo on Taco Tuesday.
Right.
Oh my gosh, it is Cinco de Mayo tomorrow.
Yeah.
The
Hello.
world we live in.
I know. Cinco de Mayo on a Taco Tuesday, being killed by Corona.
So
What are the odds?
in the scene, Corona. Oh,
I know.
we should pull some Corona on the show just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
'Cause
Make
I
them feel
actually, there's nothing wrong with that beer.
Nothing wrong with it.
I'm gonna throw it out there that tacos and wine, just like wine and barbecue, as long as you throw the right thing at it, tacos and wine is way too often overlooked.
Oh yeah.
You get some of those you get some of those radishes involved.
Mhm.
You've got maybe some corn, some homemade salsa. You've got some cilantro, any protein that you want. You're in business with a lot of wines, whether it's Malbec, whether it's something you just don't want to go too tannic, and you don't want to go like straight cutting super lean acid. Anywhere in the middle, you're going to be super happy.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. See, we don't talk about that very often, the wine and tacos. But yeah.
That's a new show, Wine and Tacos.
Yeah. Again, it sounds like a new true crime show, but
Wine and tacos.
yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up, because I mean, I would never pair like a wine with a sloppy Joe. I suppose you could, but it comes back around to that whole
Why
sauce
wouldn't you?
thing. Well, the sauce thing that you were talking about, Chris, you got to be a little bit careful with the sauces, right, when you're pairing them with a wine like this, because they
Okay.
can be non-complementary, but if you're doing a taco the way we do tacos, I don't need to keep thinking about it like a ground beef that's been cooked on the Taco Bell flat top. I don't know why I still associate that with taco, even though we've completely stopped making tacos like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, what wine would you put with a sloppy Joe? I don't know. That's a question.
A Corona.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
No, seriously, sometimes the right wine to serve with something is a beer,
Mm.
right? It's the reality of it.
Mhm.
You get something that's got a lot of sauce on it. You get something that's got that, that big potato bun, right? We've got some hate for cilantro in the
No.
it's okay. No one's perfect.
It's
But
always either cilantro or parsley.
yeah.
Yeah, and it does depend on like head injuries and genetics.
Yeah, some people genetics the cilantro tastes like soap.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, a lot of people are that way with lavender as well, but it's a good thing I'm not putting lavender in my tacos, I guess.
Right. Well, we
Yeah.
could do that, but just not serve it to Chris.
Yeah,
I'm allergic to lavender. So I understand. I understand, Stephanie, and I forgive you for your cilantro aversion. I am that way with lavender.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I cannot believe, seriously, I cannot believe that we have not done more taco and wine pairing tasting, because tacos are one of my hands down all-time favorite foods.
From this day forward,
Mhm.
we will always include tacos and wine conversations
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to pickle up some onions for tomorrow, Chris.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
in a pinch, a quick pickle works all right as well. But yeah, do it today. You'll thank yourself later.
Yep, you're right. I'm going to do exactly that. Man, I think that that's a good place to leave out on you guys, because seriously, I am dying for tacos now, and I need to go start prepping for tomorrow.
It's a good day.
Go get in with it. And if you have tacos with some wine on your Cinco de Mayo, we want to hear about it. We want to hear how it works for you. We want to hear what you had. And I think I know what we're doing for dinner tomorrow now.
Oh, yeah, you're doing tacos. Well, leave the avocado off for Miss Sarah there.
Yeah.
Is that right? You have an aversion?
She's allergic.
She's allergic.
Avocados, of course.
That's why all the avocado jokes.
Right. Yes. I always thought the avocado jokes were just,
That's what she said.
I don't know anymore. All right, you guys. Hey, thank you so much for being here and doing it. Corianne, appreciate you, hun. Appreciate you. Wine guy Chris, you're the man. Everyone watching at home, thank you so much. Like, share, and comment, you guys. These are going out all over the place now. We're going out to YouTube and Twitch, so you can find us pretty much anywhere you want. So please do feel free to tune in and talk to us anytime you want. So for Corianne and for Wine Guy Chris, this is Andy, and we will see you next time. All right, the show is over, but we got a couple of people here hanging out.
Broadcast.
Nice.
We will. We'll end the broadcast here in a
that
second. Sarah, you're obviously sitting in and listening in. Come on up to the studio where Chris is so we can talk wines. Stephanie, what goes on your tacos? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. I'm really curious. And you guys, we've been out on YouTube today. We've been out on Twitch today. We've got a few people watching, and we're having a lot of fun.
Change the title.
Yeah, I need to. I kind of screwed that up, actually. All right, Chris, you're going to go and get your lady friend, right?
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Oh, yes.
Beautiful. Actually, I'm gonna be lazy and text her.
That's the whole bring toilet paper.
I think I hear her on her way up already.
All right, now you're talking. All right, well, I guess I'll let everybody go at home, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Bye, Stephanie. Bye, Sarah.
I had to get a glass.